Most adventurers feared monsters. That much was obvious. Claws, fangs, venom, fire, those were dangers you could see. The truly dangerous things were the ones no one could explain, because if nobody understood what was happening, nobody knew how to survive it. The Wayfarers Guild was unusually quiet, not because there was less work, because nobody wanted the same contract. Tarin noticed it the moment he stepped through the doors. Groups of adventurers stood near the request board speaking in hushed voices. Several glanced toward a single parchment hanging near the center. None of them reached for it. Even the silver ranks seemed content to pretend it wasn't there. Tarin adjusted the strap of his satchel. That's strange. A familiar voice answered behind him. You noticed too. He turned. Rowan leaned against one of the support beams near the entrance, arms folded across his chest. His longbow rested against his shoulder, already strung. You've been here long? Rowan shrugged. Long enough to watch 3 parties read that contract. And? They all walked away. Tarin looked back toward the request board. Why? I was hoping you'd tell me. Maeve appeared seemingly from nowhere. She balanced 2 books beneath one arm while carefully marking a page in a third. I know why. Neither man looked surprised. Rowan sighed. You always do that. Maeve blinked. Do what? Appear. I walked here. I didn't hear you. You were distracted. Rowan looked at Tarin. I still think she teleports. I've considered the possibility, Tarin admitted. Maeve smiled faintly. I'll take that as a compliment. She finally looked toward the request board. The contract isn't being ignored because people are afraid. Tarin raised an eyebrow. No, they're confused. The 3 exchanged a glance before turning toward the request board together. The request board stood before them. Dozens of contracts had already been claimed. Missing livestock, escort duty, broken bridges, a collapsed mine, normal work, familiar work. Then, right in the center, one untouched parchment, Blackpine Forest. Investigation requested. Iron rank recommended. Reward 18 silver. No monster listed. No sightings. No casualties. Only 4 short lines. Hunters refuse to enter the forest. Woodcutters have abandoned their camps. No wildlife has been seen for 3 days. Cause unknown. Tarin read the notice twice, then a third time. That's all? Maeve nodded. That's all. Rowan frowned. So we're looking for something nobody has actually seen. I don't think so, Maeve replied. I think we're looking for whatever made everyone stop looking. Neither answer made Tarin feel any better. That's somehow worse. It usually is. Before anyone could speak again, Mira's voice carried across the guild hall. Tarin? The 3 turned. She wasn't standing behind the front desk. Instead, she waited beside a closed office door. Come with me. Rowan raised an eyebrow. We're in trouble? I certainly hope not. Maeve quietly tucked another notebook beneath her arm. I've never been called into the office before. Rowan sighed. That somehow makes me less comfortable. The office was small. 1 desk, 2 chairs, shelves lined with weathered ledgers, maps covered nearly every wall. Standing beside the window was a man Tarin had never seen before. He looked to be somewhere in his 50s. Plain brown clothes, clean boots, no visible weapon, no guild badge, no scars. Nothing about him stood out. He closed the ledger he had been reading. So, this is them. Mira nodded. The same party. The man studied each of them in silence, not coldly. Carefully, his eyes lingered for only a moment before moving on. Tarin had the strange feeling he was being measured. Finally, the man smiled politely. My name is Aldrin. I'll be accompanying your next assignment. Rowan looked around the room. Why? Aldrin folded his hands behind his back. Because the guild requested it. And what exactly do you do for the guild? A faint smile crossed the man's face. A little of everything. It wasn't an answer. Rowan seemed to notice that too. Right. Mira slid the Blackpine contract across the desk. Pack for several days. You leave within the hour. The 3 exchanged puzzled looks. Rowan finally broke the silence. So, when do we leave? Mira answered without hesitation. Immediately. She handed Tarin a folded map. Blackpine Village is 2 days north. The village elder will explain the rest. Tarin tucked the map into his satchel. Anything else we should know? Mira hesitated. Yes. She looked toward the office door. They're waiting outside. Who? The other party. The courtyard outside the guild bustled with merchants, loading wagons and adventurers preparing for contracts. Near the front gate stood 2 young adventurers, copper badges, brand new, One stood tall with a polished shield and freshly sharpened sword. The other nervously adjusted the straps of a healer's satchel. Neither looked much older than 17. The confident one noticed Tarin first. "So, you're the Iron Party?" Rowan folded his arms. "We are." The young man smiled. "I'm Elias. This is Lisa." The young woman offered a small wave. "Hello." She immediately looked at the ground afterward. Elias grinned. "This is our iron trial. We've been waiting weeks." Maeve blinked. "Iron trial?" Mira nodded. "You'll be accompanying them." Both copper adventurers smiled. Neither Tarin nor Rowan did. Rowan quietly looked at Mira. "You're joking." "No. You want us babysitting during an investigation?" "They're not children. They're coppers. They'll learn." Rowan sighed. "And that wasn't the reassuring answer you thought it was." Lisa looked embarrassed. "We'll stay out of the way. We just have to complete the trial." Elias nodded enthusiastically. "And we'll prove we're ready." Tarin studied the pair for a moment. Brand new equipment. Confident smiles. Excited. He'd seen that look before. For just a second, he saw himself standing inside the guild on his first day, believing every contract ended with heroes returning home. His thoughts drifted to Bram. The memory disappeared as quickly as it came. "All right." He adjusted the strap of his satchel. "We leave in 5 minutes." Without thinking, everyone immediately began preparing. Even Rowan. Aldrin quietly watched from the guild entrance. He opened a small notebook, wrote a single line, then closed it again. The journey north began beneath gray skies. The summer air felt strangely cool. A steady breeze followed them along the road, carrying the scent of rain through the rolling hills. For the first few hours, conversation came easily, mostly thanks to Elias. "So, what's the biggest monster you've ever fought?" Rowan answered without looking up. "A harpy." "Really?" "Really? I thought Iron Ranks fought wyverns." "No." "Oh." A few moments later. "What about you, Tarin?" "Goblins." Elias blinked. "Just goblins?" "And a giant salamander." His eyes widened. "The lake devil?" Tarin nodded. "It wasn't called that." Maeve smiled to herself. It also wasn't actually a devil. Lisa walked beside Maeve near the back of the group. She kept glancing toward the stack of books tucked beneath Maeve's arm. "Can I ask something?" "Of course." "Have you read all of those?" Maeve looked down. "These?" "Yes." "No." Lisa looked surprised. "I've read them twice." Rowan groaned loud enough for everyone to hear. "I knew that was coming." Maeve ignored him. "I brought them because I might need to reference something." "Monster anatomy?" "Among other things." Lisa smiled. "I've never met anyone who likes studying monsters." Maeve's eyes lit up. "You study them too?" "A little." The two immediately drifted into conversation. Rowan quietly leaned toward Tarin. "We've lost her." "What?" "They're talking about skeletal structures." "Already?" "We won't understand another word for the rest of the trip." Aldrin walked near the center of the group. Quiet, observant, occasionally making small notes inside the same weathered notebook. Elias finally couldn't contain his curiosity. "So, what exactly do you do?" Aldrin looked up. "I work for the guild." Doing what?" "A little of everything." "That's what you said earlier." It was true then, too. Elias frowned. "You're really not going to answer?" A faint smile crossed Aldrin's face. "No." Rowan chuckled. "I think I like him." By late afternoon, the road narrowed. The farms disappeared behind them. Pine trees slowly replaced open fields. Blackpine Forest stretched across the horizon. Even from miles away, something felt different. Rowan stopped walking. The rest of the party continued another few steps before noticing. "What is it?" Tarin asked. Rowan stared toward the distant tree line. "Listen." Everyone fell silent. Nothing. No birds. No insects. Only the wind. Lisa looked around uneasily. "Is it always this quiet?" Rowan slowly shook his head. "No." He looked toward Tarin. "That's our first clue." No one argued. For reasons none of them could explain, the forest already felt wrong. The village came into view just before sunset. Blackpine Village was smaller than Tarin expected. A handful of homes sat clustered around a single dirt road. A blacksmith's forge stood cold. Several wagons remained half unloaded near a storage barn. The place wasn't abandoned, but it wasn't alive either. Nobody worked the fields. Nobody laughed. The few villagers outside hurried indoors. The moment they noticed strangers approaching, Elias frowned. "They're acting like we're the monsters." "No," Rowan said quietly. "They're acting like people who haven't slept." An older man stepped from the largest building in the village. Gray beard, broad shoulders despite his age. A woodcutter's axe rested across one shoulder. He studied each member of the party before speaking. "You from the guild?" Tarin nodded. "We are." The old man looked relieved, though only slightly. "I'm Owen, village elder." His eyes drifted toward the forest behind them. "I was beginning to think nobody was coming." "We came as soon as the guild accepted the request," Tarin replied. Owen gave a tired laugh. "Took long enough." He turned. "Come inside. We've got food. And questions." The village hall smelled of stew and fresh bread. Normally it would have felt welcoming. Instead, the room felt tense. Several hunters sat around a long wooden table. Most still wore bows across their backs. None looked eager to return to the forest. Owen poured everyone a bowl before sitting down. "I'll save us all some time. It isn't ghosts. It isn't curses. And it isn't bandits." Elias leaned forward. "Then what is it?" Owen slowly shook his head. "If I knew that, I wouldn't have called the guild." One of the hunters finally spoke. "I've hunted Blackpine for 22 years. I've never seen anything like this." He rubbed both hands together. "The birds vanished first, then the rabbits, then the deer. By the second day, even the wolves were gone." Maeve frowned. "They all left?" The hunter nodded. "Every last one." Another hunter looked toward the windows. "The silence is the worst part. You don't realize how loud a forest normally is. Until it stops." Rowan rested both elbows on the table. "Anyone actually see the thing responsible?" The room fell silent. Every hunter slowly shook his head. "No, nothing. Never." Owen folded his arms. "But we heard it." Everyone looked at him. He swallowed. "It only happened once. Just after dark. A roar. Not close, but close enough." The room fell silent again. Nobody laughed. Nobody questioned him. Even Aldrin, who had remained silent since arriving, slowly opened his notebook and wrote a single sentence before closing it once more. Morning came with an uneasy stillness. No rooster greeted the sunrise. No dogs barked. Even the village itself seemed reluctant to wake. The party gathered outside the village hall while Owen unrolled a faded map across a wooden crate. "This is where we stopped hunting." He pointed to a narrow trail winding beneath the pines. 3 miles in, that's where the birds disappeared. His finger moved deeper into the forest. 5 miles. No deer. No rabbits. No tracks worth following. Finally, he tapped a point near the center. "Nobody goes beyond here anymore." Elias frowned. "Why?" Owen met his eyes. "Because that's where we heard it." Silence settled over the group. Tarin folded the map and tucked it into his satchel. "We'll start at the last known hunting grounds." Owen nodded. "Good." Then his expression hardened. "If the forest tells you to leave, listen." The trees swallowed the morning light. Within only a few minutes, Blackpine felt like an entirely different world. Towering pines blocked out much of the sun. The air smelled of damp earth and pine needles. Every footstep crunched far louder than it should have. Lysa looked around nervously. "It's really quiet." "No," Rowan replied. "It's worse than quiet." He crouched beside the trail. Fresh tracks covered the mud. Deer, boar, foxes, rabbits, all overlapping one another. He slowly stood. "They're all leaving." Maeve knelt beside another set. "Wolves." Rowan nodded. "They're leaving too." Elias frowned. Couldn't they just be migrating?" Rowan looked at him. "In every direction?" Elias followed the tracks again. For the first time, he noticed it. Every single trail pointed away from the forest's heart. Not one headed deeper inside. They continued for another hour. Still, nothing. No birds, no insects, no movement. Even the streams felt unnaturally calm. Maeve suddenly stopped walking. "What is it?" Tarin asked. She pointed toward a patch of moss beneath a fallen tree. A tiny songbird lay there, perfectly intact. It simply hadn't gotten back up. Maeve carefully lifted the bird into her hands. "Strange." Lysa stepped beside her. "Can you tell what happened?" Maeve turned it over gently. "No injuries." She spread one wing. "No broken bones." She examined its eyes. "No obvious illness." Rowan quietly looked around. "So it just died?" Maeve slowly shook her head. "Everything dies. What worries me is that I don't know why." For the first time since Tarin had met her, Maeve didn't have an answer. That frightened him more than the dead bird. Ahead of them, a twig snapped. Everyone froze. Rowan already had an arrow nocked. Tarin's hand settled on his sword. The underbrush rustled. A pair of yellow eyes stared back through the brush. Then another, and another. Low growls rolled through the silent forest. Rowan didn't lower his bow. Dire wolves. One stepped into the trail, thin, its ribs clearly visible beneath patchy gray fur. Another emerged beside it. Then a third, Lisa whispered. They're starving. The wolves weren't stalking. They weren't circling. They simply stood there, desperate, hungry, and with nowhere left to run. The wolves didn't move. Neither did the party. A tense silence stretched between predator and prey. Tarin counted them. 5. Rowan's eyes never left the tree line. No. 7. As if answering him, 2 more wolves stepped from the brush behind the others. Every one of them looked thin. Their ribs showed through dull gray fur. Their ears stayed low, not aggressive, not confident, desperate. Elias swallowed. I thought wolves hunted deer. They do, Rowan answered. So why are they looking at us? Maeve never took her eyes off the pack. Because we're the only food they've seen in days. Lysa tightened her grip around her staff. Can we scare them away? Rowan slowly shook his head. Not if they're starving. The lead wolf took one cautious step forward. Then another. Its growl deepened. Tarin drew his sword. No one breaks formation. Elias immediately stepped beside him, shield raised. What do you want me to do? Stay alive. That's it? For now. The first wolf lunged. Not at Tarin, at Lysa. Maeve shouted, Lysa! Before the animal reached her. Rowan's arrow struck its shoulder. The wolf crashed into the dirt, yelping. The rest of the pack charged. Hold! Tarin shouted. Elias instinctively rushed forward. No! Too late. The young copper met the second wolf head-on. Its weight slammed into his shield. He stumbled backward. Another wolf immediately darted around his flank. Tarin intercepted it. Steel flashed. The wolf tumbled across the trail, still alive, still trying to stand. Lysa! Maeve pointed. Behind you! Lisa turned just as another wolf sprang from the brush. She froze. The wolf never reached her. A streak of purple light slammed into its chest. Maeve's magic missile hurled it sideways into a tree. Move! Maeve yelled. Lisa finally reacted, stumbling behind Tarin. The remaining wolves circled again. Not because they wanted to, because they were looking for weakness. Rowan loosed another arrow. A clean shot. The lead wolf collapsed. The others hesitated. They're thinking, Rowan muttered. They're deciding if we're worth it. One wolf let out a sharp bark. Immediately, the entire pack attacked again. This time together. Tarin met the first. Elias caught the second with his shield. Maeve's magic forced another away from Lysa. For several frantic seconds, the forest erupted with growls, steel, and shouting. Then, silence. The last surviving wolf stood alone. Its breathing came in ragged gasps. It looked toward its fallen pack, then toward the party. Without another sound, it turned and ran deeper into Blackpine Forest. Rowan lowered his bow. It wasn't fleeing us. Maeve stared after it. No, it was running from something else. The party remained still. Nobody spoke. Nobody chased the wolf. Tarin watched until it disappeared between the towering pines. I've never seen prey run toward danger. Rowan slowly lowered his bow. Neither have I. Maeve walked toward one of the fallen wolves. She knelt beside it, carefully brushing dirt away from its fur. It's even thinner than I thought. Lysa cautiously stepped closer. Can I help? Maeve nodded. Look at the paws. Lysa gently lifted one of the wolf's forelegs. The pads were cracked, raw, worn nearly smooth. It walked a long way. Maeve nodded again, much farther than a wolf normally would. She looked toward the dark forest. It wasn't hunting here. It came here. Elias wiped his sword clean. I still don't understand. If everything is leaving, why come deeper into the forest? Rowan answered before Maeve could. It didn't. Everyone looked at him. He pointed toward the ground. The tracks. The pack came from the north. He slowly turned. So did the deer. So did the boar. So did every other animal we've found. His voice grew quieter. Everything is running the same direction. Tarin frowned, away from whatever's deeper inside. No one argued, because the evidence lay all around them. They resumed walking. The trail became harder to follow. Roots twisted across the ground. Towering pines blocked more and more sunlight. The air felt heavier. Even breathing seemed different. Lisa finally whispered what everyone had been thinking. Does it feel colder? Maeve looked around. It does. But the temperature hasn't changed. How do you know? I've been paying attention. Rowan sighed. Of course you have. A few hundred yards later, Rowan abruptly raised one hand. Everyone stopped. He slowly crouched beside the trail.
Fresh.
Tarin stepped beside him. What? Rowan pointed toward a muddy patch beneath a fallen tree. Massive footprints, far larger than any bear. Each print sank several inches into the earth. Lysa stared. What made those? Nobody answered. Rowan measured one with his hand. His entire palm fit comfortably inside. Seemed too big. Maeve quietly opened one of her books. She flipped through several pages, then stopped. On no. She turned another page. On no. Another. On no. Rowan looked over. Nothing? She slowly closed the book. Nothing I know leaves tracks like these. For the first time, even Aldrin stepped forward. He studied the footprints without saying a word. Then he quietly looked toward Tarin, waiting, not offering advice, not giving orders, simply waiting to see what the party leader would do. Nobody spoke. The forest seemed to hold its breath with them. Tarin looked from the enormous tracks to the trees ahead, then back toward the party. We don't know what made them. He looked at Rowan. Can you tell how old they are? Rowan crouched again. His fingers brushed the edge of one print. The soil crumbled easily beneath his touch. He studied the broken moss surrounding it. Less than a day. Lysa's face paled. So it's... Close, Rowan finished quietly. Elias tightened his grip on his shield. Shouldn't we follow it? Maeve immediately shook her head. No. Elias frowned. But isn't that why we're here? No. She pointed toward the tracks. We're here to investigate, not blindly chase something we know nothing about. Elias opened his mouth, then closed it again. Aldrin finally spoke. Only 4 words. What do you think? He wasn't looking at Rowan or Maeve. He was looking directly at Tarin. Tarin studied the trail ahead. The tracks continued deeper into the darkness. Whatever made them wanted nothing to do with the road. He took a slow breath. We stay on the trail. Elias looked surprised. We're ignoring them? We're marking them. Tarin knelt beside the first footprint. He pulled a strip of blue cloth from his satchel and tied it around a nearby branch. If we have to retreat, I want to find this place again. A faint smile crossed Aldrin's face. He quietly made another note. The party continued. No one spoke much after that. Every snapped twig made Lysa flinch. Every gust of wind made Elias glance toward the trees. Even Rowan looked over his shoulder more often than usual. Then, a smell drifted through the air. Rot. Old blood. Something dead. Rowan immediately stopped. There. He pointed through the trees. The carcass lay inside a small clearing. It had once been a massive stag.
Dal.
Very little remained. The ribs had been torn apart. The spine snapped cleanly in two. Most of the meat was gone, but not all of it. Maeve frowned. That's strange. What? Tarin asked. She pointed toward the untouched hindquarters. A predator normally finishes an easy meal. This one didn't. Rowan slowly circled the carcass. There aren't any wolf tracks. No bear either. He stopped, then looked toward the trees beyond the clearing. Only one set. Lysa swallowed. The big tracks? Rowan nodded once. The same ones. Before anyone could say another word, a deafening roar rolled through Blackpine Forest. Not close, but close enough. The ground seemed to vibrate beneath their boots. Every bird hidden somewhere beyond the trees exploded into the sky. Far off in the distance, a wolf howled. Then another. Then, silence. No one moved. No one breathed. For the first time since entering Blackpine, Rowan slowly lowered his bow. He stopped himself, then quietly admitted, I've never heard anything like that. The party continued down the trail. Nobody relaxed, not after hearing that roar. Every snapped twig drew a glance. Every shifting shadow earned another look. Even the wind seemed to whisper through Blackpine with uneasy purpose. Nearly an hour passed before Rowan abruptly stopped. His eyes narrowed. That's impossible. Tarin immediately turned. What? Rowan didn't answer. He simply pointed. Across the trail, pressed deep into the damp earth, were the same enormous footprints. Fresh. Very fresh. Lysa stared. Those weren't here. They weren't, Rowan replied. I checked this trail when we came through. Maeve slowly approached the tracks. The edges haven't even collapsed yet. She looked toward Rowan. Minutes? He nodded. Minutes. Silence settled over the party. Tarin slowly looked back toward the direction of the clearing. It crossed behind us. Elias instinctively gripped his sword. So it followed us? No. Rowan crouched beside the tracks. It intercepted us. Everyone looked at him. It didn't walk behind us. He pointed farther down the trail. It crossed here. Awaiting. A chill ran down Lisa's spine. You mean, it knew where we were going? Nobody answered, because nobody wanted to. Maeve remained beside the footprints. Her eyes moved between each massive impression in the earth. They're spaced evenly. What does that mean? Elias asked. It wasn't running. She slowly stood. It was walking, calmly. As if... She stopped herself. Tarin finished the sentence. As if it wasn't afraid of us. No one spoke, because every one of them had reached the same conclusion. Aldrin quietly stepped forward. For the first time all day, he examined the tracks himself. He measured one with the toe of his boot, then simply stepped back, without a word, without writing a note. Rowan watched him. You've seen tracks like these before? Aldrin looked at him. No. Then why aren't you surprised? A faint smile crossed the older man's face. I've learned that surprise rarely helps. It wasn't an answer. Rowan sighed. I was afraid you'd say that. Tarin took one final look toward the dark forest. Whatever had made those tracks could have attacked them. Instead, it watched, it listened, and now it knew exactly where they had been. He rested a hand on the hilt of his sword. We're done here. No one questioned the order. Not Elias, not Lisa, not even Rowan. Quietly, the party turned toward Blackpine Village. Behind them, the forest remained silent. The walk back to Blackpine Village felt longer than the journey in. No one spoke. The excitement that had filled the morning was gone. Only the steady rhythm of boots against the forest floor remained. Eventually, the trees began to thin. For the first time all day, a bird chirped somewhere in the distance. Lisa stopped. Did you hear that? Maeve smiled faintly. I did. Rowan nodded. We're far enough away. Whatever's in there, it hasn't driven everything out. Elias looked back toward the dark wall of pines. So the deeper you go, the quieter it gets. Exactly, Rowan replied. And that's not something nature does. The village came into view just before sunset. Several hunters waiting near the edge of town immediately stood. Owen hurried toward them. You made it. His eyes quickly searched the group, counting. Only after finding everyone did he finally exhale. You found anything? Tarin nodded once. We found tracks. Owen's expression tightened. What kind? Tarin looked toward Rowan. The ranger answered. Nothing I've ever seen. That answer seemed to worry Owen more than if Rowan had named a monster. The village hall was quiet once again. This time, everyone listened. Tarin explained what they had found. The silent forest. The starving wolves. The enormous tracks. The roar. He left nothing out. When he finished, no one spoke for several moments. Finally, Owen leaned back in his chair. So, you're saying we shouldn't go back? Tarin met his eyes. Not until the guild sends someone stronger. The words stung. No adventurer liked admitting a fight was beyond them. But they were true. Elias glanced toward Tarin. Only that morning. He would have argued. Now, he simply nodded. I agree. Aldrin quietly closed his notebook. For the first time since leaving the guild, he looked genuinely satisfied, but he said nothing. The following morning, the party gathered outside the village hall. The sky hung gray overhead. A cool breeze stirred the pine branches. Owen met them at the edge of the road. I suppose this is goodbye. Tarin nodded. For now. Owen extended his hand. If the guild learns anything, he send word. We will. The old hunter looked toward the silent forest one last time. I've lived beside those trees for 40 years. I don't recognize them anymore. Nobody had an answer for him. The journey home passed far more quietly than the trip north. Elias no longer filled every silence with questions. Instead, he watched. Rowan noticed him studying tracks beside the road. You looking for something? Elias shook his head. Just paying attention. A small smile appeared beneath Rowan's beard. Good. By the second evening, the familiar stone walls of the guild came into view. Adventurers moved in and out through the front doors. Merchants argued over supplies. The smell of fresh bread drifted from the bakery across the street. Everything looked normal, almost strange after Blackpine. Lisa let out a long breath. I didn't realize how much I missed noise. Maeve quietly smiled. I think everyone did. The guild hall buzzed with conversation. Mira looked up the moment the doors opened. You made good time. Tarin approached the counter and placed the completed mission report before her. The investigation is finished. Mira opened the folder. Her eyes quickly scanned the pages. The forest? Still silent. The villagers? Safe. The cause? Tarin slowly shook his head. Unknown. Mira closed the report, then looked toward Aldrin. And yours? Without a word, Aldrin reached inside his coat. He withdrew 2 sealed envelopes. One carried an iron-colored wax seal, the other, bronze. Elias frowned. 2 reports? Lysa looked equally confused. What are those for? Mira smiled to herself. I was wondering how long it would take. Aldrin calmly placed both envelopes on the counter. The first, he rested a hand on the iron seal, contains the results of your iron trial. Elias stared. Our iron trial? Aldrin nodded once. The second, his hand moved to the bronze seal, contains the results of a different evaluation. For the first time, Tarin looked genuinely confused. Tarin looked from the bronze seal to Aldrin. I'm afraid you've lost me. Aldrin gave a small nod. I expected as much. Mira folded her arms. You never told them? It would have influenced the outcome. She smiled. Fair point. Elias looked between them. Influenced what outcome? Aldrin picked up the envelope bearing the iron seal. You and Lisa arrived at the guild 3 weeks ago. You applied for your iron trial. Lysa nodded slowly. Yes? You passed. For a moment, neither of them reacted. Then Elias blinked. We what? You passed. Lysa covered her mouth. Really? Aldrin handed them the sealed envelope. The guild determined you demonstrated the minimum knowledge, teamwork, and judgment expected of iron rank adventurers. Elias laughed. A genuine laugh. We actually did it. Lysa smiled wider than anyone had seen before. We're iron rank. Rowan gave a satisfied nod. Congratulations. Maeve smiled warmly. You earned it. Aldrin waited until the excitement settled. Only then did he rest one hand on the second envelope, the one sealed in bronze. This is unrelated to their trial. Every eye turned toward him, including Tarin's. You accepted the Blackpine investigation believing it was an ordinary guild contract. It wasn't. Tarin frowned. What do you mean? It was a guild contract. Aldrin replied calmly, but it also served another purpose. He looked directly at Tarin. I was assigned to evaluate your party. For bronze rank. Silence. Even the guild hall around them seemed to disappear. A bronze. Tarin repeated quietly. Aldrin nodded. You were never informed. Intentionally. If you'd known you were being evaluated, you may have acted differently. So I observed. I took notes. And I waited. He looked around the room. You protected less experienced adventurers. You gathered information instead of assumptions. You trusted one another's strengths. And when faced with an unknown threat, he looked directly at Tarin. You chose judgment over pride. Tarin remained silent. Aldrin continued. Many adventurers believe promotion comes from defeating stronger monsters. He slowly shook his head. They're wrong. Iron adventurers survive dangerous situations. Bronze adventurers decide whether a situation should become dangerous in the first place. He picked up the bronze envelope, broke the wax seal. Read the final line. Recommendation for promotion to bronze rank. A faint smile crossed his face. Approved. For the first time since entering Blackpine Forest, Rowan looked genuinely speechless. Maeve simply smiled. Elias let out a quiet, wow. Tarin stood there for several moments. Not because he didn't understand, because he hadn't expected any of it. The guild hall remained silent. Then, Mira smiled. I'd say congratulations. But there's still one last thing. She disappeared into the back room. A moment later, she returned carrying 3 small wooden boxes. Each bore the guild's crest. She placed them carefully on the counter. Go on. They're yours. Tarin exchanged a glance with Rowan. Neither of them moved. Maeve tilted her head. May we? Mira laughed. Yes. Rowan lifted the lid first. Resting inside, a newly polished bronze rank badge. Its surface caught the afternoon light. He stared at it for a long moment. Didn't think I'd ever replace the old one. Maeve carefully opened hers. Her smile was small, but genuine. It's beautiful. Tarin was the last. His fingers rested on the lid for several seconds before opening it. Inside, the same bronze badge. Simple, unremarkable, yet somehow heavier than it looked. Without saying a word, Tarin removed the iron badge from his cloak. The metal was scratched, the paint chipped from countless contracts. He looked at it quietly, a small piece of his journey. Then, he pinned the bronze badge in its place. For a brief moment, his hand lingered there, not because of the badge, but because of everything it represented. Rowan smiled. Looks better on you. Maeve nodded. I agree. Elias suddenly grinned. So, I guess that makes us rivals now. Rowan raised an eyebrow. No. Ilias looked confused. What? We're bronze. You're iron. You've still got a lot of catching up to do. For a split second, Elias looked disappointed. Then he laughed. Fair enough. Lisa couldn't help laughing with him. Aldrin adjusted his coat. My work here is finished. He turned toward the guild doors, then paused. Without looking back, he spoke one final time. Don't become overconfident. The badge only changes what the guild expects of you. It does not change the dangers waiting beyond its walls. He continued walking, and whatever you found in Blackpine, he stopped with one hand resting on the door. Include every detail in your formal report. The guild will want to investigate. He stepped outside. The door quietly closed behind him. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Finally, Mira broke the silence. You've earned a few days off. Rowan immediately smiled. I like that plan. Maeve was already reaching for another book. I have several theories I'd like to research. Rowan sighed. Of course you do. Tarin looked toward the guild doors. His hand unconsciously rested on the new bronze badge. The journey to Diamond suddenly felt a little closer. Outside, far beyond the safety of the city, Blackpine Forest remained silent, and somewhere within those endless pines, something still walked beneath the trees.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see Tarin's journey continue, all the way to Diamond rank, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. I read as many comments as I can, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, theories, or even ideas for future adventures. Every like, comment, and subscription helps this channel grow and lets me keep making stories like this. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next episode of Road to Diamond.